the flag of the States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maxwell, roll call.
Commissioner Diphtal,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Corbin,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
Here.
We need a motion to adopt the agenda.
We'll remove new business number 3, the lady that was going to join us on that, a personal matter that came up.
Make a motion to approve the agenda minus item number 3, the presentation from the Army Corps.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, we will have appearances, acknowledgements. We don't have anybody here for that. Next, we will do the consent calendar. Need a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Motion to approve consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business. I'll turn that over to you, James.
Update on storm recovery efforts. Want to let the commission and the public know that we have finished cleaning up storm debris. That's my understanding that we finished on the construction side of things as well. So to recap, we went around the entirety of town to pick up trees 2 times. Those 2 trips took about a month in itself, and then another week for remaining storm construction debris. Any debris that's left on the curb is to be cleaned up by the homeowners. It was either put out too late after we'd gone by, or it's things that are clearly not related to the storm cleanup. So if there are old mattresses or other items that clearly are from the storm, then we left those there because this isn't the usual citywide cleanup process. It's just related to storm debris. Restricted use site has returned to both normal operations as well as fees. I believe this week is the first week going back to our normal fees. So for asking for anybody dropping stuff off to pay the price there. And at this point, we are where we want to be to resume normal operations and send city employees back to patching streets and other usual activities that we had planned for throughout the summer. So I anticipate this should be our last storm recovery update. Any questions?
How many truckloads do you know?
I don't know. Good question. How many truckloads? I don't know. We've had to weigh a lot of that for FEMA, like on the trees. But I don't have a number. I can try to get that.
How about the wood chipper that burned at the landfill? What's the plan of attack with that now?
So one of the wood chippers, the chipper caught on fire, I think on their 3rd day of operation. That's a total loss. We had a second grinder who was at a different location in town that's been working. And the first grinder who had the grinder go up and fire has brought another piece of equipment down. So they have resumed at the tree site as well. A lot of trees are grind up, but they are slowly working through the big piles.
I haven't been out there since when the fire was.
Yeah, you can still see it sitting there.
So, well, I know from my stance, I want to thank everybody in the city for all their hard work on that. I know that was a ton of work, and obviously it didn't happen overnight, but I do think there was a lot of time and effort going into that, and I'm really looks good. So,
And FYI, and that we did visit with the county. The county has set up a site out at their gravel pit out there that can be accessed. So anyone from the county can haul into their pit.
anything else on storm recovery?
Not for me.
Move into new business. Item number 1 is a public hearing, temporary retail on-off sale malt beverage license, Greater Madison Area Chamber of Commerce, downtown in Madtown. So we'll open up the public hearing for that. Anybody wish to speak on the public hearing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and then we'll move to item number 2, approve temporary retail on-off sale malt beverage license, Greater Madison Area Chamber of Commerce, downtown in Madtown.
So this action would be to approve their license for all of their downtown Madtown events. Pretty similar to previous years, concert series, 6 different events going throughout the summer, starting in sometime in July. I believe that.
July through the end of August.
Yeah.
How many events?
I think there's 6.
That's my
understanding.
I'll make a motion to approve item 2.
Second.
Motion and second have been made to approve the temporary retail on-off malt beverage license for the Greater Madison Area Chamber of Commerce. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, adopt resolution 2022-33, temporary waiver or temporarily waive variance application fee related to storm damage.
Right after the storm, we had approved a resolution that waived building permit fees for anything related to the storm damage. And that was the kind of the first and foremost thing that was easy to identify. We had done that a few years ago with the 2019 flood as well. As we've gone into things a little bit, our engineering staff are seeing that there's been some requests or some projects that are related to the storm damage that are requiring variances or conditional use permits as well. So this resolution as written is to waive variance application fees related to storm damages. It's written the exact same as the one for building permits, just talking about variances. It allows the building official to determine whether the project is eligible or not and to extend the deadline if needed. Otherwise, the deadline is August 18th of this year. Since we posted the agenda last week on Friday, staff talked a little bit more. This is written for variances. We would like to amend it to add in conditional use permits as well. Is Ryan on the line? Looks like he is. Ryan, can you give a couple examples of projects that would be storm related that might need variances or conditional use permits?
Sure. So our zoning ordinance basically, if a structure is damaged to the degree that some of them were, and that would be 50% of its fair market value, then we're bound to look at the current zoning setbacks. And there isn't anything that really gives the administrative official for zoning the latitude to make exceptions. So we have some instances where on a smaller lot, and we have a number of 50-foot lots, a structure the same size may not be able to be placed back on the lot and conform with area regulations. So they'd have to apply for a variance. So basically, we had one person where they lost their garage completely, and they want to put back a similar size garage. And if they meet our variance setbacks, or to in order to try to meet our variance setbacks, they would have to either reduce the size of the structure or ask for the variance. And then on the conditional use side, we had a scenario where a conditional use application came in for replacement of a manufactured home in a manufactured home zone. Those were damaged during the storm, and due to their age, these replacement homes would require a conditional use approval rather than a variance. So we'll have 2 of those for sure on our July agenda for planning commission. Building official Gary and I both feel like this would be akin to the waiver of the building permit fees. So we as staff would recommend doing that to help these folks out.
Thank you, Ryan. So keep in mind that building permits, there's going to be a lot of those related to storm damage. Variance and conditional use permits, we anticipate a select few, but there are some costs there. All these things would still be going through the planning commission for consideration and review. We're just asking for some of those fees that are associated with it to be waived. If you would desire to make that amendment to it, I would title the resolution, a resolution to temporarily waive certain building and zoning related application fees related to storm damages. And then within the language of the document, I add in conditional use permits in addition to those variances.
I would definitely support that because this happened not by any thing that those people did.
Was that a motion for that, Roy?
I'll make that a motion, yes.
You can't.
No, I'm mayor, so it has to come from someone else.
You want that worded?
If you're comfortable, I can work the wording, but in essence, it would be the exact same the way it is now, but it would also include conditional use.
Yep. All right, well, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-33 to temporarily waive the variances and conditional use permit for application fees for your language.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding storm damage to sidewalks.
Thank you. As we know, continuing on this storm damage conversation, there's been a number of sidewalks in town that have been damaged significantly due to the storm. In some cases, trees fell onto the sidewalks causing damage. In other cases, just by falling over, the roots have flipped them up or caused damage from beneath as well. So city staff, especially those in the engineering office, are looking for direction on how to proceed with these sidewalks. Typically, if a tree damages a sidewalk in a usual situation, no matter what the case is, the city expects the adjacent property owner to be repairing that infrastructure. So wanting to know whether that's the way we want to continue or if we want to do anything differently. And then whether you want to see city staff trying to take a look at the whole town. We do a sidewalk improvement project, as you know, each year, but we identify sections of town for that. That we want to be expanding our inspections for storm purposes. I think some of the more obvious examples probably stick out, but wanting to know how much work we'd like to see staff do to identify and then work on these improvements that are needed. Ryan, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I guess I just had about 4:45 today. I received a phone call from a gentleman. And he explained that his insurance company is not going to cover any of the damage to the sidewalk since it's on city property. So before he accepts the insurance estimate, he'd like to verify who's going to be obligated to do those repairs. I think for the most part, the instances that Dan and I have seen would be trees that are in the boulevard that have uprooted part of the sidewalk or have landed on the sidewalk, or a landowner's tree has fallen on their sidewalk and damaged it. I don't see any instances of landowner A needing to fix landowner B's sidewalk. So part of this conversation is responsibility. The other part is how we go about doing this. You know, we can do our sidewalk inspection soon. That would be somewhat of a deviation from what we normally do. Normally just tackle a particular part of town every so years, but we'll always add random spots where there's complaints or obvious trip hazards. Safety is a concern. So it falls in line with that policy. I don't really want to pile onto those still recovering from damage, but I think we need to try and take care of the ones where there is a safety concern. And we could potentially let the rest of those wait until the normal annual inspection rotation catches up with them.
I like that plan, if you can thread that needle. We're not putting too much burden on you guys, if that's what we do.
Ryan, did you hear that question?
I did not, sorry.
Jeremiah is wondering if it'd be too much burden for the engineering staff to expect the department to, I guess, inspect all sidewalks. Is that the question?
Make those judgment calls now.
And to make those judgment calls.
No, Dan and I have discussed, we feel like it's something we could do. And I guess if we would happen to miss one or something of that nature, maybe we could, just add that on the next normal annual inspection. But I would think we could go around and visually inspect sidewalks as we're driving around and make sure we're catching those where there is a safety concern. And I don't think that's too burdensome. We could definitely handle that.
Do we need to take an action to do that?
I listed as possible action. If the commission would like to see some specific action done, you can do so. Otherwise, we're comfortable operating under general direction.
What's our current frequency of inspection?
I believe, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, we inspect a seventh of the town each year.
Yeah, that's correct.
So every 7 years the town gets hit.
Yeah.
I didn't hear who would cover the cost, whether it would be the homeowner or the city in those areas and that where the city tree did the damage. Do you have a recommendation, Jameson or Ryan?
I don't have a recommendation.
Roy, what are you calling a city tree?
One that's on between the sidewalk and the curb?
I don't know if I'd call it a city tree.
Well, in the boulevard, if you want to refer that way.
Yeah, I don't have a recommendation either. I guess normally a landowner is responsible for repair of their sidewalk, no matter the cause. And sometimes that is, roots coming up and undermining the sidewalk and causing a heave. This does seem to be a different circumstance, but yet it's the same. I mean, it's, you know, damage to a sidewalk from a tree is the same no matter how it happens, but
Sure.
you know, I guess I wouldn't want to open up a can of worms or we're, you know, looking back and determining if root growth from a tree has caused the heaves in the sidewalk in the future and you know, participating in those costs. I would want this to just be storm related if we did go forward with city responsibility.
And I'm comfortable doing nothing at this meeting and waiting until they come back with some idea of how extensive the storm-related damages were to the sidewalks.
Yeah, and Dan and I had planned to try to get a comprehensive list of that, and we just ran out of time. We've got probably 12 or 13 of those that I know of that were either uprooted or landed on by a tree.
Okay.
Ryan, in those instances, are they single panels of sidewalk, multiple panels? Have you looked at any of that?
I think all but one was multiple panels. It's just, you know, it's finding that joint in between sidewalk panels, and if it's taking one, it's taking its neighbors. So
Yeah. I think we should let them do that and then bring it back.
I would say on average, it's 2 to 3 panels.
What do you mean, bring it back?
Like, how many are we talking here? I mean, I think it's the homeowner's responsibility to fix the sidewalk.
Right, I agree.
Because
Even on boulevard trees.
even on boulevard trees.
There's a certain risk having property with boulevard trees. This is, I have a couple of them.
Some different than sewer or roots pushing it up. It's the same thing. It would eventually probably have happened.
It's a bad deal.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess that's what makes boulevard trees such a struggle, because these things happen.
So I'm afraid we open up a can of worms if we just start fixing one here and one there, and every time a tree.
And in most cases, those boulevard trees were planted by the homeowner.
Yeah.
I
for
just
sure.
think, I think we just need to leave it at the homeowner's responsibility to fix them.
I'd say staff are comfortable with that. We did just want to bring up the question, and this is the question we've been tackling for the last month too, is how much can the city do to help homeowners and property owners in town here? And I'd like to think that, especially with the tree and the construction debris cleanup, we did as much as we can. But at some point, we do have to draw a line and say that the city or the government is responsible for this and the homeowner is responsible for that. So that's kind of what we're looking for. From what I'm hearing from the four of you, you'd be comfortable moving forward with having engineering staff find the areas of higher risk that pose more of a danger to the general public, and work with the homeowners being responsible for replacing those panels.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it, yes.
That is the direction I needed. Any final thoughts, questions, anything from the public? Okay, thank you all.
All right, moving on, item 6, discussion and action to approve utility easement with Kingbrook Rural Water System.
Kingbrook Rural Water System is requesting a 30-foot utility easement to be providing water service to I can't think of his
Randy
first name.
Weezy?
Randy.
Randy Weezy, yeah.
Yep, that's correct. There was a 10-foot easement that was granted in the past, but it needs to be done to Kingbrook and it needs to be 30 foot in width. So we are coming to the commission with that request. City staff don't see any issue with providing this easement.
It's at the tip of city property, so I see no issue.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. I should clarify more. This would be on the northeast side of town, near where some or on where some airport property is at, which is owned by the city. Thank you for reminding me to clarify that.
Yeah, it's not in an area where we see ourselves serving anytime in the near future.
Agreed.
So we should let Randy have some water and let Kingbrook.
Staff are comfortable with that.
It's a new line or an upgrade.
That I do not know.
It would be a new line. I believe the line would be utilized for a cattle tank, water tank for his cattle. It runs across, it's kind of a peculiar shaped lot and it runs across a very narrow portion. So I don't think that this would handcuff us in the future if we decided to do anything with that lot. I think it would be, borderline would be out of the way.
And they will be hooking up to the line that they already have on Quade's property, which is just on the east side. And then they will be routing it west and just coming across that triangle tip of the airport property.
Should be a good neighbor and approve it. I'll make a motion to approve utility easement with Kingbrook Water.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the utility easement. All those in favor say aye.
I,
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, adopt resolution 2022-32, increase employee wages and salaries.
Resolution makes 2 changes that would be applicable to all employees for the city of Madison. The first is an increase to wages and salaries for full-time employees at 3%. Part-time employees are also increased 3% with the caveat that some positions have received small increases more recently in the last few months. So the 3% would be on their prior wage before those increases. That'd be the first change that is made. The second change is an additional contribution from the employer of $113.34 per month to all employee health plans. That number is very specific, and that's because that's the number that would make individual plans fully employer paid. And that same amount would be added on to the other employee health plans as well. This would be made to be effective July 3rd, which is the beginning of a new pay period. We would be looking to have the specific listing of employees' new wages at the July 18th meeting. When we have that in place, we'll be able to run a report and include those in the minutes as required. This is a resolution that I think, needless to say, employees are excited about and was put together at a request from you as the commissioners.
and just add to that, it does not include increases to the mayor and curtain commission.
Correct?
I thought we're giving the mayor a big raise.
Nope, not in this resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt 2022-32 increase employee wages and salaries.
I think we'll ask one of those two to make that. I think it's more as the chair is the one.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
Second.
okay, motion and second to adopt resolution 2022-32, increase employee wages. All those in favor say aye.
I,
All those opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. Marshall.
Good afternoon. It's not a comment, more of a consideration. My understanding is we have lost our utility director. I'd like you guys to consider not replacing that position for a little bit. When I was still mayor, I talked to some of the superintendents. They felt they could handle it. I think we should let them try it and see where it goes before we jump into rehiring for that position, if you would. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Announcements. Our next commission meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 5:30 due to the holiday on Monday, the 4th. So, other than that, no, don't have any announcements. All right, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Got a motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Adam.
Yep, not a
Thanks,
problem.
Roy.
Thanks, Roy.
second.